preferences and myriad agendas cannot be dismissed. Determinants are often based on compatibility of styles rather than objective performance benchmarks. We all have different strengths, weaknesses, as well as functions within our organizational units. The leader is accountable to draw these out to help develop the best possible team so that all colleagues are ultimately working toward common goals. We've probably all noticed, or at least suspected, that if the boss likes you, you get a complimentary review regardless of your foibles. Certain people just seem to get away with more, while others are critiqued more. For example, trips may get approved more often and more automatically for some, while for others, similar requests are painstakingly scrutinized down to the very last detail. The fact that some people walk around with halos on and others with horns makes a compelling argument for a universal scorecard, standardized checklists, and objective metrics. Since bosses are often the sole umpires calling the balls and strikes, transparency demands that their strike zone is consistent. Unconscious bias is everywhere, but it is our responsibility to never stop fighting it.
Yeah. So that's about unconscious bias. And the last one we are going to talk about is creating sense of belonging. Now, nowadays, belonging actually becomes a buzzword in big organizations. And many organizations have leaders with the job title, such as the manager of diversity, inclusion, belonging, or the vice president of global cultural belonging, people growth. Okay. Now, one question for all of you. So, you must carry all your phone with you, right? Smartphone, Apple phone, right? Do you have this incident that one day you left your phone at home, and then what happened? How would you feel? A lot of times I did that. Left my phone in the office. I was back home. What I did is, even though it's late, Marianne knows that. I drove back and get it, right? Sometimes I left my purse at home or something I need to take home, but I forgot. Well, okay, I will get it tomorrow. But this one, no way, right? Now, why Facebook, Twitter becomes such a huge business? A lot of users, why? They find human psychological needs, right? I mean, they meet the psychological needs. We all want to, we have a design to connect with people, family members, friends, co-workers, you name it, right? We want to connect with outside world, and this is the gadget that helps us. So deep connection helps you create that sense of belonging. Here, we want, when people get connected, they have this sense of what? Safety, sense of a safety, being protected, being accepted, right? And attention. So we have this definition. This is the psychological need for everybody to be recognized, supported, and included. Common, right? Everybody knows this. Now, one way to understand the sense of belonging is through Maslow's hierarchy of the needs. I think some of you are familiar with that. It's nothing too new, right? Well, first of all, in order to, under that bottom line, in order to survive, we need food, water, sleep. Yes, that's the very basic needs. After that needs, those needs are met, you go to second one, safety, shelter, right? You want to get safe from want, safe from fear. And then the middle one we use normally it's called love and belonging. Here we replace the word with allophilia, because allophilia in this context, it original meaning means you like somebody who are different from you. Result is a fig to put in here. So belonging really, everybody wants to belong something or a group because it makes us feel we are part of something which is bigger and more important than ourselves. So after you get this, we need self-esteem and self-actualization. For most of us people, we find self-esteem and self-realization through work. How? So we want to know, we have some ability, we want to know what's going on in that environment. We want to find meaning, and we want to have certain ability to shape that environment. And also the work is a great source of belonging because we have a shared interest with our coworkers, common purpose, we have a purpose in the work, and we can interact with our coworkers. That's the belonging and sense. Now the question here, what I'm going to elaborate on is, how would you have this, how as a leaders create this sense of belonging? We all know the importance about it, no argue about it. Well, we proposed this to actually, those ideas not from me, it's from this book. I'm sure some of you have read it. It's a great, great book. So the book title, Everybody Matters. The author, Bob Chapman. Now, apply truly human leadership, create that inclusive environment. So how did Bob Chapman define as a truly human leadership? He says, you really care, taking care of people, both personally and professionally. And throughout this book, one theme constantly appears. That is, he compares parent-child relationship to leader-employee relationship. So at one point, he asked this question, what do you want for your children? Safety, happy, healthy, and fulfilled. You want them to live a life of purpose and meaning, right? Well, both leaders and great leaders and great parenting both take care of people share this. So in that book, actually some of you might have heard about it. That's in 2009, St. Louis-based manufacturer factory, Barry Miller, suddenly lost 30% of its orders. So the company lost the big money. They got to figure out a way how to save the money. The board and this company CEO, Bob Chapman, get together, try to figure out what to do. The natural solution is what? Lay off people, yes, right? But Bob refused to let any single of the employees go. And he proposed instead a furlough program which asked everyone, including leaders, to take 4 weeks of unpaid vacations. So in his statement, in his announcement of the program, that's what he said. It's better all of us suffer little than any one of us suffer a lot. This is a powerful but a very touching statement. Now, what's the ripple effects? Morale went up. They saved $20 million within a short time period. And also, there's a great amount of comradeship and compassion. For instance, some employees who could afford to take a longer unpaid vacation time trade 1 or 2 weeks with those who couldn't afford it. And some employees came into work during their unpaid time. Here's what they said. That's the only way to pay back. So the whole thing, to summarizing this, actually this is from their employees. They say when our leader taking care of us in the crisis situation. When we feel we're protected, we are safe, we want to do more for the company. So we will think about we are doing a lot of engagement, commitment, training, whatever. Create a sense of belonging. It just come naturally. Okay, so in your, the last one, the printout, we have 3 scenarios there. I will give you, do we have time?
Barely.
Barely. So that's what I want to say is, Bob is using action to taking care of employees in crisis situation to create a sense of belonging. Now, in daily work, leaders, you don't have to be in a critical or crisis situation to take care of employees. Those small behaviors, like leaders just cancel their meeting quickly without, he scheduled what those without making it, right? Constantly doing that. Or somebody gave the ideas, was not, well, if that person uttered it, was not taken seriously, but if it was uttered by or expressed by a different person, it's taken serious considerations. So all those minor daily interactions will show how leaders behave and how you want to create that sense of belonging. So due to the time concern, because we do want feedback from you, and what we are going to do is, this is from Mary Ann knows this, from our group, kind of like a class evaluation. So we want you to spend
The rest of the time, so we have the rest of our time, which is about 10 minutes, giving us feedback on these pieces. I'll put the objectives of the course back up so that folks can see that and measure us against those. We do realize that the agenda was very packed and there were lots of things we didn't get to or spend enough time on, but thank you so much for being with us. And so the objectives for folks, define what an inclusive leader is, describe the 5 qualities or traits of inclusive leaders, identify the difference between inclusive leaders and exclusive leaders, and apply some of the best practices of inclusive leaders in their daily work. So did we meet some of those? Did we give you tools that would be helpful around this?
You have 4 objectives and then there are 3 spots.
yeah.
JP, you want to address how the form?
Yeah, yes, that's the case, yeah. The answer is yes.
You plan to have this course for 2 hours, is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to reduce it, try to figure out how to reduce it to 60 minutes or 90 minutes, but there's a lot to,
So this is 4-hour material, just to let you know. It's so good. This is really good.
this is really good?
Yeah,
Okay.
4 hours.
4 hours? Okay.
Just once.
Okay.
So, did you say all of this in 60 minutes? Is that what you was? No.
We would like to, we asked to try to figure out 2 hours or less is what we've been asked.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
The electronic version of this one?
Yes.
And then right now we can provide some feedback directly to you.
Yeah. If you can do that, and we'll send out another electronic version for you to give deeper thoughts. That'd be great. Thank you.
And send a learning, please send a learning
That's,
objective.
okay. Good.
And one of the suggestions that I have is that you covered very good material, but you didn't have enough time. So I think each one of these topics,
Could be a class in itself.
it could be,
Right.
because we need to have more time for discussion into some of these concepts.
Yep.
Yeah, we
How to relate them, how to use
Exactly.
it.
Actually, I admit I have deleted some of the contents from what I intended to share because of time constraint. So, I do that, so, good
No, but
suggestion.
your suggestions are good, and actually, as we planned it out, it looks like each one of these will probably end up being in and of itself that people can elect to.
Yeah.
But that there will need to be a one that is all of the concepts in one. So we'll have to figure out how to navigate that, but each of these will probably end up being a course in and of itself.
So to start with, this is phenomenal. I love the handouts. It's totally new. I don't know if this is the norm now, but the 13, 14 years old when I started taking classes here, it's very different than that. Definitely go to the board strategy, more forward strategy.
Good.
They're big, easy readable for my old eyes. You know, they're different activities. So it's phenomenal. There's a lot of thought in one. I might many months on just preparing these things. So it's a huge amount of work. So congratulations, kudos for doing this. I like, other than few spelling mistakes and then those things that can easily be worked out. The content, you can choose, if you're doing it for 2 hours, I would cut down by 40% content at least. Choose to do at least 3 activities in those 40 minutes, just no more than 3. It could be small group exercise. They will be must for your activities to retain. You're going with everybody at Mayo Clinic, or it's going to be leaders? Who's going to be your
So right now, it is everyone at Mayo Clinic, so.
Okay. So they will love activities, we love activities, because we're just sitting and getting bored. Only feedback I have is cut down the content if you're going for 2 hours, 40% if not less, 50 even better.
Okay.
But I don't know which one to miss out. This is also good.
Right, yeah.
That is a dilemma I have. If it each could be a 40 minutes class for 6 of these, that will be most
Yeah.
optimum.
Or is there a way to group it into 2 groups? So maybe there's one group package and another, so you can come together and focus on a
Or
couple.
some kind of pre-work, you can do this at your desk, watch these videos, do this, and then come in for a collaborative discussion and exercises. Because there's amazing content, but a lot thrown in right there, like you jumping from idea to idea right now, so it's to
I
actually.
think there's a lot, sorry,
And
there's a lot
your
of,
style of
there's a lot of value. And a lot of just interactive would be beneficial.
and your style of presenting is like body language, eye contact, smiles, and you each other. There was no, or okay, this is your turn, you go, no, it's your turn, but nothing like that.
Okay.
I really liked a lot of it he gave, the story of these different industries. You're very knowledgeable. You must be doing reading on this. So I learned a lot from your examples.
Yeah, I thought the example you gave were, I would have liked to hear more examples from Mayo and what we were doing with some of those issues and concerns.
Yes.
I do want to read exact component of these classes, however you end up breaking it down and organizing it. But one thing I would definitely suggest that there's a lot of value in terms of sharing or building the case of why this is important. So I know there are some dedicated slides of why diversity, why change towards inclusion, and why be more inclusive. Not just for the institution, but for your own growth as a professional. So I think and training might not be the forum, there might be more broader attempt of and then offering the case of how you do it and how you structure it. That would mean making it more effective and sustainable, I would guess.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yes.
For me, I like material or something later or tools to use that could be given maybe after class or maybe at the beginning, say, you know, we'll send this out to a note taker. And I'm like maybe little things people are saying, but that distracts me from maybe what I really need to see or hear going on.
Okay.
So giving people that up front, they won't be so in tune to try to write everything down where they could be listening to the content if they know they're gonna get the material later.
Yes, Fazil.
And then maybe later training trainers that make a big change at Mayo, we need to have more people involved, so we can come here and learn, and then maybe we can go back and help our departments to make changes. And one more thing I wanted to mention is I wanted to compliment you for, and both of you, but it's refreshing to see that, I don't know, this is again, unconscious bias or whatever. I haven't seen any, I don't know your background. Where are you from?
I'm from,
Okay. Chinese people, again, that's maybe my fault also, is that they are very quiet and they don't get involved with it. So it's nice to see that different faces in our presentation. Thank you. You have done a great job. Thank you.
So I saw others, so adaptive, so if it is a leadership versus, so it made me wonder, you know, who is the target audience? So adapting those to the audience.
Yeah, this
So-
was, this was higher leadership hierarchical, because they need to be more aware of what we are learning here about the inclusive and diversity rather than us or I mean, the lower level of the employees, because they need to know the requirements, for example, global marketing, instead of telling the people in the front line that we are working on diversity. Leadership needs this more.
Thank you. Well,
So taking, if the audience across the
as it stands right now, yeah.
stands right now, and I think that, people are gonna go, inclusive leadership, I'm not a leader for me. We embrace the philosophy that everybody is a leader at Mayo Clinic, but too many people still associate leader with being a positional authority. So people who positions so that they feel that this applies to them. Otherwise, I'm afraid they're gonna just check out to some degree anyway.
when I actually working on this project, I was told this is really for leaders. We call it inclusive leader. It's really manager at all different levels. But I didn't know it's expanded already to everybody. So that's the stuff we talk, share for leaders.
Can, I would like you to do so. Again, I was for your time and as we roll them out, so thank
So you'll
Yeah.